Okay, so we've been talking about David, the shepherd boy, the giant slayer, the man after God's own heart, and then we get to this part of the story, and I'm not going to lie, it's hard to talk about, because David messed up bad. It starts one night. David's on the roof of his palace. He's supposed to be out with his army fighting, but he's not. He's home. He's restless. And then he sees a woman, Bathsheba, and he sends for her. And I want to pause right there. David had everything. Power, wealth, wives, God's favor, everything. But in that moment, what he had wasn't enough. He wanted what he couldn't have. And that's where the trouble starts. Bathsheba gets pregnant, and David tries to cover it up. He calls her husband Uriah back from the war. He tries to get Uriah to go home to his wife so it looks like the baby is his. But Uriah is too honorable. He won't go home while his brothers are still fighting. So David does something terrible. He sends Uriah back to the front lines, and he orders his men to pull back so Uriah gets killed in battle. He murdered a good man to cover up his sin. And here's the thing, David thought he got away with it. Bathsheba moves into the palace, but God saw everything. And God sent the prophet Nathan to David. And Nathan told David a story. He told him about a rich man who took a poor man's only lamb. And David was furious. He said, that man deserves to die. And Nathan looked at him and said, you are the man. And David's heart just breaks. He doesn't make excuses. He doesn't blame anyone else. He just says, I have sinned against the Lord, and God forgave him. There were consequences. There always are, but God didn't abandon him. That's the grace I can't get over. David committed murder, adultery, and God still called him a man after his own heart. Not because David was perfect, but because when he was confronted with his sin, he ran to God instead of away from him. And that's the difference. So here's my question for you, and it's a hard one. When you mess up, what do? Do you hide? Do you make excuses? Or do you run to the one who's waiting to forgive you? Because that's what David did, and God didn't turn him away. Next time I want to talk about the aftermath. Because even though God forgave him, there was still a price to pay. And David walked through it, and there's so much we can learn from that too. See you in the next one.